Ooh. I quit today. I quit today. Wah. Hi there, welcome to T3 Teach Tech Theater. I am Kirsten Branch.
And I am Julie Benitez.
Today we wanted to share with you in our series of tech theater hacks, paint hacks.
And before we start our paint hacks, we have a paint craft. Whoa! So I just recently did this with some of my students, and it's something I've seen on Pinterest, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it this year. And it always makes me laugh because it's little paint chips. And all you do is you cut the paint chip into triangles. Now, unfortunately, if you go to Home Depot, the paint chips have the name in the middle of it. So you have to, you're cutting a piece like that. You're cutting a piece like that, which then gives you weird leftover pieces. But you know what I used? Those weird leftover pieces like this. I made them the snow at the bottom because waste nothing. That is our motto, waste nothing. So totally cute little idea, little paint hack.
So we just wanted to share just a few things with you. This video is not meant to go on forever and ever. So one of the paint hacks that we want to talk to you about today is a technique I actually learned from my dad, and that's called we call it the Papa All technique, because I call my dad Papa, and it is using an awl to kind of clear out that little lip around your paint can. So Julie has a better example than I do.
All right, because I have an empty paint can. So you know that little lip right here where it just gets filled with paint, and the kids aren't so good at like wiping off the paintbrush. So by putting the awl, putting it on there, and then going smack, smack, and putting at least 4 holes, north, south, east, and west. When the paint is stuck in the rim, it can kind of drip back down inside the paint can when you try to close it back up. I learned it from Kirsten. She's a genius. Papa is a genius.
Papa is a genius. So what we have in my program is that as soon as a brand new paint can is opened, step number 1 is the brand new paint cans need to be Papa Alled. So I had a student a couple years ago who that was her main job. She was like the Papa All queen. And anytime there was a new can, she would walk around like, is that a new can? Does that need to be alled? So it's a very important job to have the Papa All.
You want to make sure you're super clear about that, because last year when I asked a kid to do this, and I was watching them, I was up in the booth and I could see, I watched the kid take the lid off carefully. I saw them hammering, and I assumed they were hammering inside the little thingy. No. While I wasn't paying attention, they opened it, they put the lid back on top of it, and then they poked through the lid to make 4 holes, thus rendering the lid completely unusable. I was less than pleased, but we were able to fix it by finding some other paint cans.
Bless. So we need to be specific as to exactly where you are going to insert the Papa All holes, and that is around the inner lip of the can, not the lid. So one of our other challenges also in paints with students is our little paint keys. And I'm sure that you have the same experience that Julie and I do, that those little suckers are so small. Somebody's opening a can of paint, they shove it in their pocket, and then it goes away. Sometimes they come back, which is lovely, but sometimes they don't. So try to make something kind of inspired by kind of the gas station bathroom technique. So I want to show you my paint key is hooked onto just a little piece of, this is all scrap stuff that I have, like part of a door hinge with some chain and a carabiner. So that way, even if it ends up in a kid's pocket, it's going to be lanky and clanky enough to hopefully help them realize, oh wait, I'm walking away with something I should not.
And I chose something, I took chunks of PVC and then colored it so that I'd be able to identify when I'm looking at a table, like, oh, there's one there. Oh, there's one there outside. Also, when you see the picture of the paint cabinet later, I have nails in the side of the paint cabinet that this just sits on so that you know where to find a paint key.
Something that we learned actually this year that I've been painting and doing projects around home is the miracle of Dawn dish soap. And I didn't really, I mean, I know Dawn is amazing, but I really was not aware of how incredibly amazing it is when you are treating paintbrushes. So in this video, the guy that posted it was a tech theater person. The idea is that you take your dry brush, you wet it, and then you just put just a little bit of Dawn soap on it, and then rinse it out just a little bit, keep the Dawn soap in the bristles themselves, do your painting and such, and then at the end of the job, rinse it out again using Dawn soap. And I will tell you personally that this has been just one of those moments that has been life-changing. I had a paintbrush actually that I'd left longer than I'd meant to in painting several things, and the paint was getting a little chunky. And I went through with my Dawn dish soap and it cleaned the brush. This is an amazing hack. Dawn dish soap is amazing.
Same way it gets all the oil off the ducts. Gets the paint off the bristles.
It was an amazing thing. I think actually I even called Julie or texted you with a photograph of my brush. Look, it really works. Whoa! So I happen to have the visual aid for this, but Julie is going to give you the virtues of this specific type of spray bottle.
Okay, so I'm sure many of you have had to try to get a fine spatter on things. You're trying to break up a wall or something, or you've put masking on it and you're trying to not see the seam. And we've probably all tried the thing where you, and I've used it, where you take the paintbrush and you whack, 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 and you're spattering the wall. But when I have to do a large amount of stuff, I have used a bug sprayer. That's one where you pressurize a bug sprayer with a paint water mix. But I usually use a Zep spray bottle. Now, it has to be Zep. There's a reason why the people sell it at Home Depot or wherever they sell it, because it is a really good one for the trigger action. Because don't go to your cheap little ones where it goes, oh, this is working great, and then it stops working halfway through. Especially since you're going to be asking it to do a paint water mixture. And it needs to be a good, strong trigger action. It needs to be a good spray bottle in general, because the paint water mixture makes it very unhappy. But if you end up using about a half and half, you can adjust the spray bottle nozzle to try to get a good mist on it. I've also found that if I take the spray bottle nozzle, if the thing is laying on the ground, if I shoot it up so it drops back down, it makes a better pattern than if I shoot straight at it. If I shoot straight at it, it goes like I've shot a gun at it or something, and it kind of has a specific look, versus if I flip it upside down and make an umbrella rain effect. And while I'm talking about spatter, one of my grumpiest moments is after I have a set mostly done, and I've definitely painted that wall, and now I'm painting the floor or something, and I've put like a 3-inch gap of tape of do not get this paint, the floor paint, up on the wall I've already painted. Nonetheless, sometimes a kid will not pay attention and they will get a brush of paint up on my already painted wall. Now, to the kids, like, oh, just put some paint on it. But if I've already spattered it or I've textured it in some way, it's going to be a glaring, it'll show itself in a glaring way that it's not textured right. So I have to retexture it, but I don't want to retexture the entire wall, and I don't even want to do it with my Zep thing. So the other hack is to use a paintbrush. Now, this is not, do not try to paintbrush your entire set, or don't toothbrush your entire set. But when there's like a little teeny spot that a kid has got a little bit of paint, and I put the color back over it to make it blue again, and I'll take my color that I was spattering with, and I will just like, make sure you can see it. Make sure you're getting a good bristle action, so it's going. I'm all about the sound effects. So make sure you got to practice it first so it's not all dripping down. But this is a great way to get a little bit of spatter back on if you've already spattered a wall and a kid or you have accidentally dripped or made a big blip on your paint and you need to repaint part of it.
We also encourage you to make sure that your flammable paints are locked up in a Flammables cabinet. We talk about that when we talk about safety. Talk to your safety folks at your school and explain to them that that is really important. I personally don't have a lot of Flammables, but I do have spray paint and some lacquer thinner, stuff like that. Just make sure that that ends up in a Flammables cabinet. Our last component is one that Julie's going to talk about in her paint organization that I've totally stolen, but I'm giving her all the credit right now. So Julie, talk about how you organize your paints in your shop.
Okay, so what I inherited was a room that had these huge cabinets that were already built in. And all the paint was just kind of all mixed matched in there. And I'm sure as many of us have already tried to organize it by color area. So I've got a neutral area, I've got a warm area, and I've got a cool area, which of course I teach the children about the different neutral, warm, and cool. But just in case they weren't paying attention in my large areas, I've painted the word warm in the warm colors. And I've painted the word cool in the cool colors and neutral in the neutral colors, just in case they can't remember, this is blue. What is that? Oh, the O in cool is blue. I'm betting this goes in the cool. So that is, of course, one easy thing. Something that really helped change my life was it had 4 quadrants in this big cabinet. So in one of the quadrants, I put a door on it that just kind of flips up and is kind of held either by my head or a piece of wood kind of slides over and stops it from falling on my head. And on that door, I wrote current show paint only, which means that whenever it's time for a current show, all of the paint cans I've written on the top of the paint can saying, this is Drowsy, this is Janet's bedroom in Drowsy. So I wrote Drowsy, Janet's, and then it goes in current show paint. My hope is that if a kid pulled it out of current show paint, they had to remember they had to pick up a door to pull it out, and that it's all current show is supposed to go back in the current show paint. So I'm not hunting all over the cabinet for what did that kid do with that one particular blue for this particular show. I try really hard to have the kids use the current show paint. Now, there are things that stay in current show paint, like there's always my Swiss coffee is in there and my black is always in there because that gets pretty much used in every show. And I also will sometimes cross out a show if it's that same color is being used for this show. By writing on it, it helps me help tell the kid of like, okay, go into current show paint and find me Peter Pan blue. So they bring me a blue and they're like, is it this one? I'm like, does it say Peter Pan on it? No, then it's not the right blue. Go find me the blue in current show paint that says Peter Pan. That's the blue I want. Now, of course, I remember what all of the shows are. And I also, one of my favorite games to play is, what show did that come from? When looking at a set piece or looking at previous shows, I'm like, wow, that yellow's been around for 4 shows. As I keep crossing out stuff on it. But labeling your paints is going to really help you and the kids find the right paint. And so they're not painting half of it in a white because they think all the whites are the same. You're like, oh, no, that was bright white. This is Swiss coffee. Those aren't the same.
So don't forget Julie's paint chip greeting cards because those are amazing.
And they're super cute.
And
I'm giving these to my admin. To like Monarch Theater says happy holidays. Of like, look, it's paint, it's me.
So clever. I'm totally stealing that. And don't forget Papa All, the Papa All technique, saving your paint cans. Dawn dish soap, paint keys with service station access, your Zep sprayer, and show paint organization. And as always, please feel free to contact us at teachtechtheater@gmail.com. Check out our website and become a member for all sorts of really cool stuff. That's at teachtechtheater.org. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks so much for watching.
Happy holidays!